Hey guys. So we're back. Remember our issues with Horizon? So I wanted to do this just to show you here's what happens when you say, okay, you know what? I got you. I understand what's going on. Let me do a workaround. I didn't re download Fallout or anything. What I did was I created a stock game folder within the folder for the mod list itself. So, and then I had to go into the INI files and update the information there. So, I'm going to skip this and basically show that now the game is running as it should. And then now you do see, which is kind of interesting. That's a weird outfit for what's her name? And let's just go. Let's take a look at this. I'm very curious. We're gonna get out of here in just a sec because this is all we really need to see. Is that now is loaded up? But I want to see this. I want to see what's going on here. Why is she in that outfit? You know why she's in that outfit? Because she's a lawyer, right? Right. All right. So we accept. I'm done. All right. We're just gonna leave it. I don't confirm character, and then it's gonna do all of its stuff here that we are expecting, especially with all the Horizon stuff. Right now, I haven't added a single mod. Right. I am just hey everybody. Hold on one sec. Welcome. All right. Sorry about that. I'm gonna look at that. But so now this, there we are. Right. And it's got needs to do is load up stuff. It looks like we don't have an alternate start beginning here, so it's just going through its normal stuff, right? So we can so if we wanted to, we can just keep on going from there. Again, this is us doing this with a basically saying, okay, no, here you go. We're going to update the files ourselves. Hold on one sec. Wait, yeah, just hold on. All right, so I ended the game and we're back in the folder here. And what we can see here is in the folder. What I did is I went over to one of my other folders. Right, I have another one. So this is going to be kind of the thing, right? If you're not running multiple lists, you probably won't have a place where you can go grab the stock game folder. So I went and I grabbed this from Wasteland Reborn, put it in here, and the only thing I had to do in addition to that was like go grab uh the creation content, right? Creation club content, and add that. What's Wasteland Reborn doesn't have these files, so I had to put those in. Now that gave me this, and then down here, you see there's a couple, right? And what I needed to do here was actually go in to this and then look at the different basic, I'm going to say the different addresses, right? That it has for the game. And then go in and then update them so that they match correctly. And then there's right here. This is the most important one. Let's bring that over. And then because this is the main one. This is the one that has the game path. And you see I had to correct that and change it so that the game path matched the stock game folder and not the Steam apps folder. And then when you come down, you got to look for every instance now where it's going to show where's the name main folder should be. Some of them are going to be correct already because it's already going to the Modlist folder, but some of them are going to point to the Steam apps folder, and those are the ones that you need to go and change and make it say no, it needs to go to the stock game folder. This one was one. So basically anywhere you see where it says here the stock game, those I had to edit and change myself to be the correct folder. Right? Now here the mod list, that was right all from the get go. And then generally it's only down to, you can see everything else is basically all the, you don't have to worry, you don't have to be able to read and understand all this stuff down below. You just need to know which ones, and then usually a lot of the stuff is pointing to these references up here. So you just have to make sure that all the inputs are correctly and pointing in the correct place. Once you've updated that, then you come on over here, and then there's a couple of things you just want to, you basically you're going to double check, because once that folder is done, you know you're good. So you want to check your paths. Now, again, it's Modlist Horizon, so the base directory is correct. I didn't have to change anything. Here, it's using this base directory, that's the reference to this address here, and then adding in the rest of it. And then here, manage game. Now, I did not do this basic because it pulled it from the INI file. So I didn't, all I have to do is, like I said, once I change the settings for the INI for mod organizer, I didn't have to update anything here. And then so we're good there. I can just say okay. Then you want to come in and actually look at your INI folder here just to see, is there any other references? Is there any other places I need to look at, right? More than likely, no. They're all good. So I can close them. And then here, we want to look and just check our executables. So this, the FSSE, is it going to the right game, the right folder? It should. It was going there. It should go to the right folder, but if it's not, you can take a look, but it's going. So fine. Right there, there, now, there. And then what's my game folder? Look, it updated automatically. I didn't have to change that. The launcher, automatic. The Explorer, automatic. It changed all that based on the changes that I made to the INI file. Again, I don't suggest you doing it unless you know what you are doing. So when I first changed it using just the stock game folder from, I got an error because these files were all missing. That's why I actually had to go to the game folder itself, the Steam apps folder, and then copy. And then I didn't pay attention, or I didn't want to pay attention and figure out which folders, which ones were missing. So what I did was just said, I'm going to copy them over and then let Mod Organizer sort it out. And you can see it only selected the ones that were needed. These were grayed out. And then now I could have forced this, but the unofficial Fallout patch, because these came up and they were unselected like that. And you can see the patch, and here you get the error. And then when you hover over it, it tells you what's exactly missing, right? So you can see missing masters. And then it tells you the Halloween, tells you the remnants, and it tells you the grenade. And then when I looked, I saw that these were not selected. So as soon as I select them, they're no longer missing. And then the unofficial Fallout patch is good to go. I don't have any new notifications. And as you can see, I haven't added any mods yet. But what I have done is confirmed now my list works, right? cancel that. My list does work, right? We just saw that. We just started the game up. We got in there, character creation, everything. We're good to go. And then if I wanted to, I can click here, and then I have a specific, a folder saved with my Fallout 4 necessities. And it's got a ton of stuff in here that if I want to add, but you can see my TSS MSR is here. This used to be my immersive containers. Obviously, I'm not adding that back anymore because that we know that causes problems. And then the other things that I like to add is the cheat terminal, the Crazy Earl scrapyard, the ballistic under armor, and then sometimes I'll add this, doubling the XP that you get, right? And then the other things that I like to add, and you can see I have to sort through it myself, but where is it? Right here. So I like the CCO Cheeky Casuals outfit replacer, the Foxy Factions outfit replacer, the Saucy Settlers outfit replacer, and the Vulgar Vixens. Now, if I'm going to add these files, I'm also going to need to add Body Slide and CBBE to this mod list as well. So those are key things that you have to keep in mind. So you have to know what you're doing when you're editing these files, right? So, and then backpacks of the Commonwealth, Horizon patch, and then you need the actual backpacks of the Commonwealth mod file. So there's when it's all said and done, ECO, and then you need a patch for ECO, and you might even need more stuff. This doesn't have fall UI, so now I got to add fall UI if that's what I want. Now, what I've done is it's what it's doing in this one specifically. It's saying, okay, I got everything I need for Horizon, kind of. But then once I start adding in these, I got to make sure that I'm adding in the patches if it's needed for the files that I'm adding. Once you do that, though, and here's the important part, it isn't as simple as just adding them, because you have to remember the important part about Horizon is that these files all supposed to be at the bottom of your load list. And you can see right here, this one here, this one's here now. And remember when we couldn't get it to work, it wasn't there. And then when we re-downloaded it, it wasn't there. It moved it up here. And then all of a sudden it's, oh, okay. I'm sorry. My bad. I was about to say, wait a minute. I thought that was the bottom. So it's up here. So you remember all your architect, Z architect, these are your Horizon files. They're supposed to be at the bottom of your load list. So they belong down here, right? Along with patches for certain things. So this is a Horizon patch, Horizon patch, Horizon patch. You can just say basically these are all the patches for the mods that you have up here or the things that you have up here so that Horizon works properly. And so once you start adding more mods, you can't just say, okay, I added them and then I'll run it. You're going to get all kinds of problems. You got to add them. You got to make sure you have the proper patches. And then you really do have to go and sort the plugins using Loot. And Loot will do a generally pretty good job. Sometimes it isn't always 100% accurate or always the best, right? But it's what you got. And, unless you are 100% on board, and I say on board, but absolutely an expert and know exactly what you're doing with the load order, Loot will do a better job than if you don't know what you're doing. So just let it do its job. More than likely what it's going to do is going to take the files that you add, and then it's going to put all the Horizon stuff, the patches and everything down at the bottom of the load order and bring your files up, to where they belong, And that's it. That is basically how you fix a potential issue with the mod list that is hitting your base file. And this is how you can ensure that now I can run Horizon, not worry about it damaging my base file. I do have to still repair that and update it so that it's doesn't have all the extra stuff that it has in there. But for now, I got Horizon running straight from a stock game folder, and then I can go in and do the same for Telsera. I could do the same for Midnight Ride, and that way I can continue to run multiple mod lists without interfering or without conflicting with other ones. So I hope that helps. I hope that doesn't make things more confusing. Again, it is kind of a daunting thing to go in and start editing those files and knowing exactly what you have to update, what you don't need to update, what it's supposed to look like. And I strongly suggest if you don't know what you're doing there, don't do it. And just remember, okay, this mod list is going directly to the Steam apps file. I can't really use any other mod list that's going to do the same. And it's a lot of times it's trial and error. Again, I really do hope that does help and hope that it doesn't, mess things up for you. But these are the things that I look at every time I go in and try to do a mod list. And these are the ways that I work around it. And again, like I said, once you start adding more mods to the list that you download, you open a whole new can of worms and potential issues and problems. So it's not recommended to do that unless you know what you're doing. And as you can see, even as often as I do it and as much as I do it, I still run into problems. I still run into issues that I've created for myself or potential issues that I would not have expected, but now I've learned. And that's the key. It's trial and error. You learn from your mistakes. You learn from, I didn't see that, right? And a lot of times, one of the things that I've learned now is to temper my expectations and also my quickness to get frustrated, because one of the things that opened my eyes was the immersive containers mod. I would never in a million years have expected that that would be a major issue. And when I saw that, I was like, wow. Okay. So again, now I have to actually revisit and look at certain mod lists that I've already deemed, unstable and just crappy. And now wonder, was it unstable or crappy because of what I did to it? Not because it was just, and in some mod lists, I'm sitting there pissed and frustrated because as soon as I get to areas that are more populated and more resource intensive, all of a sudden everything just goes to pot and it's just nothing's working right. And having all kinds of issues. And then now I have to question, okay, is that the list itself? Or is that maybe one or two or three of the mods or a combination of the mods that I've added that are, causing this? And if so, which ones and how do I work around that? And what do I need to do? And what becomes very complicated is this. Any mod list that's using like especially with Skyrim, any ones that using synthesis and I can't remember all of them, but using any kind of animation types uh tools, it's like as soon as you start adding things that potentially are altering that list or should alter that list, now you got to go back and rerun all that. And unless you know what you're doing, right? Because some of that stuff you got to rerun, and then there's output files, and you got to like know where to put that. You got to know where, how to, what order it needs to be in, and then all of a sudden you're like, holy cow, there's so much stuff going on here, so many moving parts. I just need to leave that list alone. I just need to play without that, right? And hope that there's enough stuff in the MCM, right? Again, still more stuff you gotta, in the MCM settings that you can tweak that game to your liking. So again, it's it can be fun, it can be frustrated. The end product can be a whole lot of fun. But again, there's the README pages, there's the Discord, right? And then the other thing is definitely look at the instructions on the installation. It will tell you if you need a clean installation. Also, sometimes it'll tell you that it needs a downgraded installation, right? This one comes with a downgrader, so the first thing it does, it downgrades Fallout 4. Well, guess what? If it's hitting directly to your Steam apps folder, it's downgrading your base game base game right there in the folder. And so if any other mod list you're trying to run also hits it and requires an, updated version of the game, fail. Because one mod list downgraded it, and then the other one needs it to be the updated version. That's why, like I said, I love it where you have a stock game folder in the folder with the mod list so that your base game just stays fresh. All right, guys. That'll do it for now. Remember, like, comment, subscribe. Subscribe really helps. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers, and any help you guys can put to that is greatly appreciated. Hit me up in the comments. Let me know anything else you want to see. If you anything behind the scenes you have questions about, how do I do this? How am I doing this? Again, you can see using Wabbajack allows me to have, I've got 12 different mod lists going, right? And they're all for Skyrim and Fallout, right? And so I think I've got 15 different on my computer, right? So I got 3, 12, 15, 16 different mod lists on my computer. And basically I can run pretty much any one of them at any time. And so you have your variety, spice of life, and it's, yeah. So any questions, just hit me up. I'll try to answer as best I can, right? I don't claim to be an expert. This is how I do it, right? And technically, it might not be the most, it might be, somebody can come back and say, no, John, you should do it this way. And then, hey, if you guys are seeing me do something that I should do a different way, hit me up. Let me know. I'd appreciate it, right? I can safely say I don't know everything. I never will. But I don't think anybody else knows everything and ever will. But we all know things that maybe somebody else doesn't. And I'm all about sharing. So if I can share some knowledge, great. If you want to share knowledge with me, even better, because I'm always willing to learn. So guys, we'll see you next time. Peace.